Good afternoon, everyone. We had some nice lighting issues there. That was good. I'm Melinda Spence. I'm the head of research at Activision Blizzard Media, and I'm so thrilled to be here with you today, again on this stage to present our latest research, Play It Forward, Harnessing Gaming Immersion to Unlock Player Attention. I'm sure many, if not all of you, are familiar with these iconic franchises of ours. There's so many more titles as well. But what these titles all have in common is that they are premium titles that garner global, attentive audiences. But what we know is that attention is fragmented. People are engaging with multiple media formats every single day. Attention is stretched in a crowded media environment. And on top of that, attention is fragmented across devices. If we take second screening, for example, 85% of people are using another device while watching TV. And this has implications for advertisers because only a third of ads are getting full attention. This means missed connections and wasted spend. But there are attentive formats out there. Gaming is able to harness this attention and bring it forward. This time for advertisers to get involved. We did a study with Dentsu, Lumen, and other gaming leaders in the market, such as Anzu, who's here today. And what we found is that gaming commands attention. Versus these other platforms like online video and social media, viewability for gaming ads, or ads within gaming, I should say, is 99%, and higher rates of viewability, or of people who view the ads altogether, is at 100%. So we wanted to look at, our research team wanted to look at, what makes gaming so attentive? What makes it such a place that people are so engaged with? So we did a neuroscience study with Alter Agents, an amazing research company, to look at gaming immersion. How do players keep this attention within gaming and through to the advertising within gaming? Let me explain what immersion is because we're introducing a new title here, a new word. A neurological state based on a person's attention and emotional resonance. And immersion is important because it predicts business outcomes. A consistent immersive state yields higher ad recall, higher purchase intent, and higher sales. Attention equals impact. When you're playing a game, you're happy, you're worry-free. Above all, gaming brings joy. We've been on this stage before with you talking about all the reasons why people play, all the emotions people feel. At the top of that is joy, and that's the basis for attention and immersion. Gaming enjoyment drives immersions. We see these as much higher levels when we look at people who report being happy and people who report being engaged, much higher in gaming than when they're with social media and when they're with online video. This has a little bit of a build to it. So when we look at immersion, we're looking at attention. We're measuring this in a few different ways. We're measuring heart rate, we're watching their eye tracking, we're asking them questions in a survey. We're putting all this information together, and we're watching their play on a screen. So what we can see here is how these levels of immersion change through the different media formats. And the smaller the waves, the closer they are together, means the more consistently immersive and therefore happy and engaged place that they are. And this is what we see with Candy Crush and we see with other gamings versus online video and social media. Gaming is able to bring this to players through advertising and within the game. So let's look at this, and we have this across all the platforms that we tested, but this is for Candy Crush in particular. So to show how this immersion changes throughout the gameplay. So we have someone, I'm sure many of you have played Candy Crush, but for those who haven't, here's what happens. You play the level, probably at some point you lose the level. That's just how games work, right? So you complete a combo that results in a blast. Now you have to make a decision. Do you want to continue to play? You're offered, do you want to watch an ad? So throughout this little dip here, you're debating whether or not to watch an ad to get another boost so you can continue to play. As soon as that ad begins, you've made that choice, you've been faced with this value exchange from the game, the immersion increases. This is the prime space for advertisers to be with the players. They are attentive, they are immersed, they are happy to be seeing your ad. And after they see your ad, they go back to playing the game. And look, they're just even that bit happier, maybe dancing like that as well. So this is an opportunity not to be missed by advertisers. And what happens when you get into that sweet spot, you meet the player where they are. We found that in the game, when people are playing the game, they have these feelings of happy, playful, engaged. And when they're seeing the ad, they also reported feeling these same feelings. So even when you're in the ad environment, people are feeling happy, they're feeling playful, and they're feeling engaged. That's incredible. Why wouldn't any advertiser want to be in that space? And what happens is that this helps to bring relevant and immersive experiences. And in fact, 40% of players say that ads timed not to interrupt gameplay are a must-have. So making sure that where you advertise within the game resonates with where the player needs the ad to be. And just to drive this home, this also works with the immersion score. You see there's very little difference between the 48 and 47, showing that this consistent happiness exists. So when people come to play the game, they are there to play the game, not necessarily playing to watch ads, but the ad is helping them to extend that gameplay even longer. This is fantastic news for the game and for advertisers, because here, when the publisher of the game partners with an advertiser who is just as into this and understands these connections that can be made, that's where the magic happens. All of these things, this magic that's happening, this attention equals impact, helps to drive ad recall, awareness, message association, consideration, and purchase intent. So it's time for us to play it forward. Thank you very much. You can download our research here and our infographic. And now to talk more about this topic, we have our VP of Global Revenue, Greg Carroll, and giffgaff's Lisa Boyles. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for coming, everybody. I always love talking about gaming, obviously, but the attention piece and what we're here to talk about today is to address, hopefully, the balance. I think we've all been to a lot of these events, and it's fantastic to see the breadth of development, what's going on, but it's always great to get a client's perspective on this, an agency's perspective on this, and I'm super happy to be here with Lisa to discuss this, because ultimately, one of the biggest questions, or one of the most common questions I get is, what can we do? And I go, well, the creatives, I mean, we create universes, we can do pretty much anything, but what is it that you want to achieve? And it's those conversations that are the most fruitful. It's one where we can partner with wonderful clients like Lisa and discuss how we can create new activations together, I think, because, like I say, sometimes it's just breaking inertia, and sometimes it's doing something, to the next degree. So, big thank you to you, Lisa, for joining us today. It'd be great if you could tell the audience a bit more about yourself and what you're doing at giffgaff.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got a bit of a dual role where I look after both go-to-market and paid media. So half the time I'm launching a new product, taking a promotion, and the other half I'm doing our paid media strategy, just like deciding alongside our media agency what our campaigns are, and then I get the hell out of the way so that our lovely brand team can actually execute on it. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird hybrid role.
It's a super interesting role in that you can see both sides of it. You can see both sides of it, the performance, the creative, the brand development, and again, it's been fantastic working with you and the team. But from the attention piece and the pursuit of metrics, and defining it, it continues to be a really hot topic. Obviously, Melinda's done a great job in taking through some of the work that we've done on this point. But I just wanted to ask you what attention means to you, and how should brands be thinking about it, and specifically how giffgaff thinking about it.
Yeah, I personally find attention a bit of a challenging metric to really define. So I think about it more as a how to get to a what. So really, for giffgaff, what we care about long term is brand saliency. But for people to actually be aware and of thinking of you in that moment, you had to have got their attention in the first place. So that's where it becomes important, not necessarily just as a metric, but more of a how are you using that to achieve your broader goals. So that's where we're making quite a conscious effort to pick very specific high attention placements. And it's not just for that objective of saliency. Actually, this is where I'm going to shoehorn in, a personal cause here. But giffgaff are quite passionate about sustainable media planning. So one of our key pillars in media strategy is less is more. So we'll actually buy fewer higher attention placements, and this is across all channels, so that we're actually getting the same level of reach and effectiveness, but at less placements and therefore less carbon emission. So on TV, that could look like cherry picking during your launch weekend, just have the top 5 shows that whole weekend versus 20 spots or more. In out of home, it's choosing those high attention demanding placements. And in gaming, it's what are those really good playable moments versus just a quick pop-up ad that is disrupting the experience. So yeah, that's what it means for me.
It's super interesting. Attention is one of those words that is fantastic, but can sometimes be overused. And I love digging into it. What does it mean in forms of viewability? What does it mean in form of the things that are most regularly monitored? But I think when you mention sustainability and the idea of essentially going bigger, bolder, stronger, it's the challenge I always have, and I try saying this in a really nice way, is a lot of advertisers and agencies are especially agencies, are under pressure from a cost perspective. And sometimes those two things don't necessarily go hand in hand. And I'm wondering how giffgaff has adapted to that, and have you seen the results that you wanted to see from doing that?
Yeah, well, first of all, giffgaff, because we're a B Corp, we're actually on the hook for both, not both, all 3, people, planet, and profit. So we do have to actually measure back to our board on planet and people as much as we do profit. But you touched on actually a very common misconception there, that it's one or the other. It's either effectiveness and delivery on your targets or sustainability, but it's not. Actually, they can go hand in hand, and talking about one thing can support the other and vice versa. Or even doing things sustainably in the background. You don't have to always be, potentially greenwashing or even green hushing. Yeah. You can just be doing the right thing in the background. And that's ultimately landing the agenda. You don't have to feel like you have to shoehorn in a sustainable message. If you've got one, great, encourage those sustainable behaviors. But sometimes it's just doing the right thing in the background that gets you there.
I love that. As I say, it can be oversimplified, but let's get into the work. So immersive gaming experiences present a huge amount of opportunities for yourself, for brands. Again, Melinda's go through in a couple of examples there. But how have you used gaming to connect with your audience in more meaningful ways?
Yeah, we've been on a little bit of a weird up-down journey of gaming. So when I first started at giffgaff, I was in a social team, and we actually used to do a lot of long-form content on YouTube. There's a series called giffgaff Gaming. It's still up there. It's very entertaining. And there was grime artists playing Dungeons and Dragons, drag queens being introduced to big potato board games, older folk doing VR for the first time. So that was our first sort of foray into gaming. It was quite entertaining. There was a huge engagement behind it. People found the content. Both the gamers found the content fun. Non-gamers found it fun. And then we went into a bit of a gaming lull where the only thing we were really doing was just having Twitch as a partner on our not out of home online video plans. But we sort of realised, sometimes there's that misconception of gaming is just for gamers, the classic definition. But really, everyone's gaming in some way, shape, or form. This audience knows it. It's on phones. It's everywhere. So that's where we've started to get back more into it. So more recently, while we were landing our students promotion, we've been working with yourselves to reach students. So we had some playable formats and some rewarded videos in all of the King mobile gaming real estate, actually, and that did very, very well for us. So I had the PCA this week, so there was actually a 19-point lift in ad recall and a 4.7 lift in brand awareness. So that's
this is the only plug.
The only plug. But it has given us the confidence that, okay, we know now for students gaming is a good platform for us to always have on plan. So now it's okay, so what's the role of gaming in the broader plan when we want to go for broad reach audiences? Because that's just one very small campaign out of the whole annual plan.
I actually remember the initial giffgaff gaming piece that you did. It was great because it addressed something a long time ago that we're still addressing now, which is the misconceptions around the audience and how do we say the word gamer without saying the word gamer, because I don't want to target gamers, or there's an immediate thought of what that cliche could lead to.
Absolutely.
So how have you found gaming differs from other forms of media in terms of capturing and sustaining that attention?
Well, I think they touched on it just before with the research. It's that it's so high attention because you're not dual screening, because you're very immersed in the game. If you're dual screening, you're probably losing that game, which no one really wants. So I kind of think of gaming as being like the digital equivalent of cinema for the AV world, where I know that if I get my weekly results that say the impressions delivered and the video views or the click-through rates, that they're actually quality. They're not just someone's quickly scrolled past and it's counted because they scrolled too slowly. I know that they actually saw that ad, so I do feel a bit more reassured by the results I get when I see like the gaming result, as it were.
Yeah, there's been so many conversations and trying to define, because gaming means so many different things to so many different people, and when we're talking about just the simplest form of how to get in around the game through strategies like rewarded video, it's the only difference that I've found, and the analogy I always use is gaming is an entertainment platform like any other. The only thing that's different about it is the word interactive in the front.
Yes.
And the great thing about that is interactive usually leads to attention in that respect. So for the people in the room, I'm keen for you to highlight what strategies brands can employ to ensure that their in-game ads feel organic and contribute to that immersive game experience rather than potentially interrupting it.
Yes. I know as brands, clients, we kind of feel like we're in the right, we have final say, we're paying you money, do what we say kind of vibe. But what we have to realize as brands is, yes, you have a say in how your brand shows up. Is it correct? Yes, you have a say in how your messaging shows up. Is it accurate? Is it delivering what you need it to? But ultimately, what we try to do is trust that our partners know what's best for their audience. So it's removing the brand ego, essentially. That's what I recommend to every brand in the room. I don't know how these mobile games are made. I don't know how the users are using them. So I will trust that team to build a game that's going to suit that audience. And it's purely just making sure, that shade of pink isn't quite the gift gab shade of pink. But otherwise, I trust that you're doing the right thing for your audience.
I like the term brand ego or advertiser ego. I think it's something that we hit up against a lot. I think it's something that where the expectations are to go from zero to hero in a matter of nanoseconds.
I think what we all forget, every single person in this room sometimes forgets, you are not your audience.
Yes.
Like, I'm not a gamer, but if I was a gamer, I could be like, I don't like this game because I don't like it. But there could be 5,000 other people who would like it. So you've got to be led by the data and not your own personal opinions.
And that's what we're thinking on the background continuously as the owners and operators of this space. Every game is almost every game in the portfolio is worth over $1 billion. It's we've constantly thought about how we interact with our audience. How do we engage? How do we enrich rather than interrupt? Because we're going through this fundamental change in the industry now, where gaming is catching up very, very quickly to the standard entertainment space, wherein the expectations of a person that games is, one, I want to have it on pretty much any platform. I want to make sure that it's as close to free as humanly possible to at least get in. And it's that idea of streaming, that idea of it's exactly the same as Netflix, of going, I can start watching a program, I can continue watching on my phone, I can finish off on the laptop in the evening. And that's the evolution where advertisers are now needed more to fund that, but it has to be a partnership because of that interactivity. So, Lisa, I suppose, how can brands get started in this space? How can they get comfortable? How have you guys got comfortable with the channel?
Well, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that GiftGap are like revolutionary in terms of how we advertise in gaming, because we're really not. I'd say we're very much in our infancy. So I got 2 bits of advice. One, which is just start by starting. So for that, it's you find the one right partner for your target audience, and then within that partner, find 1 or 2 ad formats that deliver on your campaign objectives, and just start there. And then this comes into my second bit of advice, which is quote Ron Swanson: "Never half-ass 2 things, whole-ass 1 thing." So literally just start with that tiny thing, and that's exactly what we just did with students. Pick 1 partner, 2 ad formats only, try and get them right, And then all you have to do is just iterate and then scale each and every time. You get broader and broader, better and better, more ambitious, more bold, more confident, because you've got that behind you. No one ever gets anything amazing and right the first time.
The dream client, I would say. As I think we've had a multitude of different.
Tell my boss.
Yeah, deal. And it has been. It's been great. I'm looking forward to how the relationship continues with us. But very quickly, I know we're at time, but I was just asking final one. What does the future look like for giffgaff in gaming? So you've said you've broken inertia, so to speak, but
Yes.
what does the future?
Well, specifically within gaming, it's that point I just made of, okay, we've done it once with yourselves now, so we're going to iterate and then hopefully scale a little bit more. That's not to say that Activision or any of our other gaming partners appear on every single plan. Each campaign, each target audience, each objective is different, so there's always a mix of partners per plan. But then more broadly for us as giffgaff, looking like beyond gaming, we very much push the AdNet Zero agenda. We sit on that committee, we lead the ISPA Sustainability Forum, so we're going to keep pushing all of our partners, the gaming ones included, to get on that journey, join AdNet Zero, check their own credentials, have they got their own net zero targets in place, what are they offering their clients, how are the other clients challenging them. So we're going to keep pushing that agenda in the background, so watch the space.
Good, thank you. Well, again, only remains for me to thank you, Lisa. Thank everybody here for taking the time to view, and I hope the rest of the day is equally as interesting.
Thank you very much indeed. That was, like, I couldn't write stuff down quick enough. You were coming out with some absolute bangers there. That dropping the brand ego was brilliant. Never half-ass two things, whole-ass one thing, which I thought was wonderful, which I shall steal with pride. Can I just pick up on your point about attention? Because I think it was a really, really good one. This idea that it's almost like sort of sand through your fingers trying to define it. And we've had a pretty good go in the last 2 years trying to do it. Why is it so hard to find? Why can't we all come together as a big industry and go, right, this is what we think it is?
I think there's so many different ways of measuring it, and I'm not even going to pretend to be the expert here, but like I've come across so many methodologies, and if I was to like put attention metric in front of my CFO, I don't think he'd know what it means, what it correlates to, what it drives.
Yeah.
So he'd just be like, so what?
Yeah.
So I think that's a wider thing we need to do of telling the story of why attention's important, what it translates to.
Yeah.
To back that up, we've tried to do as much research as possible, but it's not just down to one person. I think as an industry, we need to understand exactly what attention means, and maybe not use it in sort of some sort of bullshit bingo style. I have to have this and this and this in my my plan.
Yeah, maybe there is something in the simplicity, or as you said, focus on the how rather than the what, which I thought was brilliant. Amazing. Activision Blizzard Media, give them a massive hand. Thanks.
Thank you.